För några år sedan stötte jag på det här fotografiet på Digitalmuseum.se. Främst orsaken till att jag la märke till bilden var väl att miljön verkade bekant på något sätt, och efter några sekunder insåg jag att bilden hade tagits endast några kilometer från mitt barndomshem i Ursviken. Ett samhälle som ligger utefter Västerbottenskusten där Skellefteälven rinner ut i Bottenviken. En sedan länge hädangången och bortglömd fotograf var närvarande och förevigade med sin kamera ett kort ögonblick på kajen vid smältverket på Rönnskär utanför Skelleftehamn, en molnig och lite brisig dag i nådens år 1938. Fotografiet föreställer ett mindre ångdrivet lastfartyg som ligger i hamn. Ett flertal män syns utspridda i bild på kajen. I förgrunden till vänster kan man se en fiskebåt med, kan man förmoda, 2 besättningsmän ombord samt en individ som står alldeles vid kajkanten. Vid sidan av det svartmålade fartyget böjer sig en man framåt för att plocka upp någonting som skulle kunna vara ett rep. En man som förmodligen är en av lastfartygets 15 besättningsmän. Längre österut, till höger, står 3 personer tillsammans i grupp. Vilka de är lär vi ju aldrig få veta. Kanske är det fartygets befälhavare som diskuterar vissa detaljer rörande lasten med ett par Rönnskär's anställda. The last year of relative peace. Dark clouds continue to gather over Europe. The ominous atmosphere of impending doom and destruction is felt around the continent. Hitler, who has been ruling Germany since early 1933, has created a hellish environment for racial and ethnic minorities such as the mentally ill, the gay and lesbians, people with political convictions other than the Nazi doctrine. The Nazi terror is manifested in many forms. What the German-speaking world refers to as Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, can only be described as an orgy in anti-Semitic violence in which footsteps came death and widespread destruction. There are waves of arrests of so-called anti-social persons, which include all categories mentioned above. As far as foreign expansion during the period leading up to the outbreak of World War II, the countries in Hitler's immediate neighborhood are anxiously witnessing a number of gangster-like political moves like the Anschluss or the annexation of Austria, the occupation of the Sudetenland, or the harsh demands that the free city of Danzig be handed over to the Germans. There are several good reasons to feel anxious in that neighborhood and far, far beyond. And so came the day the war began. Food for thought. Germany, a nation often described as das Land der Dichter und Denker, the country of poets and thinkers, is now eagerly cheering on a war machine that will initiate the most extensive conflagration the world has ever seen. On September 1st, 1939, Germany attacked Poland by land and in the air. The old battleship, the Schleswig-Holstein, was on an official visit under false pretenses and moored just off the important port city of Danzig. Early in the morning at 5:45, the opening shot, followed by a devastating continuous point-blank shelling of Danzig with particular focus on the militarily important Westerplatte Peninsula, signaled the opening of World War II.
Das Wort hat jetzt unser Führer. Seit 5:45 Uhr wird jetzt zurückgeschossen.
Extrautsändning från TT. Order om allmän mobilisering av den engelska armén, flottan och flyget har undertecknats av konungen.
Внимание! Говорит Москва. Передаем важное правительственное сообщение. Граждане и гражданки Советского Союза. Сегодня в 4 часа утра, без всякого объявления войны, германские вооруженные силы атаковали границы Советского Союза.
Germany's invasion of its former non-aggression pact partner, the Soviet Union, on June 22, 1941, was to have grave consequences for Sweden. The nation's iron ore and other trade with Germany continued, which automatically made Swedish cargo ships a target in the eyes of the submarine commanders of the Soviet Baltic Fleet based at Kronstadt, an island fortress located about 30 miles west of Leningrad at the head of the Bay of Finland. The Swedish iron ore is particularly important and in high demand to maintain the output of the German armaments industry. The two nations were never formally combatants in World War II, during which around 300 Swedish ships were sunk due to acts of war. Torpedoes, mines, direct artillery, attack aircraft. There are more than one way to sink a defenseless freighter. The shipping of iron ore from Swedish Baltic Sea ports to German or German-occupied harbors is sometimes referred to as dödsfarten, or the death trade. The number of sunken cargo ships in the Baltic Sea from World War II is a solemn reminder of how appropriate that name is. In 1942, the Soviet Baltic Fleet went on the offensive in what has to be considered an undeclared war against Swedish cargo ships in the Baltic Sea. Between June and August, 4 freighters were sunk by Soviet submarines. Due to the heavy cargo of iron ore, the ships would often sink to the bottom within less than a minute. On June 22nd, while carrying 3,700 metric tons of iron, the SS Adagorton was hit by a torpedo from the Baltic Fleet submarine SC-317 off the island of Öland. She broke in 2 halves and sank to the bottom in around 30 seconds. 8 crew members survived, while 6 men were killed. Other freighters that were torpedoed that summer included SS Margareta with 14 dead. SS Luleå lost 8 of her crew. On August 18th, the SS CF Liljevalch is spotted and attacked by the Russian sub L3 east of Västervik. 26 merchant mariners are killed. 7 live to tell about the tragic incident. The convoy which the Liljevalch was part of was escorted by at least 2 destroyers from the Swedish Navy.
Extra nyhetsutsändning från TT. En sjökatastrof har under natten inträffat mellan Gotland och fastlandet.
In this clip from Svenska Filmarkivet, or the Swedish Film Archive, we can see actual footage taken of a convoy during the Second World War. Sweden's long Baltic Sea coastline presents a considerable challenge to the nation's navy. Destroyers escorted convoys of freighters up and down the coast to the best of their ability with the assistance of twin engines reconnaissance aircraft. Still, cargo ships were sunk despite the Navy's efforts. Let's now visit Sweden's southernmost city, Trelleborg, an essential port for Swedish trade within the Baltic Sea. Trelleborg has had a train ferry connection with Sassnitz, Germany, and the rest of the continent since 1909, when it was opened in a very celebratory atmosphere and with great pomp and circumstance. Both Swedish and German train ferries are operating the route formerly known as Kungsleden or Die Königslinie in German.
Now, by the establishment of a new line of ferry steamers from Sassnitz in northern Germany to Trollberg, the southernmost point of Sweden, it will be possible to book from London by the fast express to Berlin, thence direct northwards to Sassnitz, which is situated on the island of Rügen. The new ferry steamers will rapidly convey the passenger to Trollberg, from whence he will take the train through Malmö to Stockholm. The new line of ferry steamers was formally opened on Tuesday of last week by the Kaiser and King Gustav, and after the inauguration ceremony, the Swedish visitors were entertained on the Hollendsoren. The Kaiser hoped that the new route would stimulate trade, intercourse, and goodwill between the two countries. The ferry boats are the largest which have so far been built. The two German steamers are named the Preußen and the Deutschland, and the two Swedish are named Oscar II and the Drottning Victoria.
Man ska begrava dem som gick bort med Deutschland.
On October 24th, 1942, a stately funeral is being held for 7 German soldiers who were killed when the train ferry SS Deutschland was torpedoed in the southern Baltic Sea a few days earlier on October 19th. The ceremonial funeral at Trelleborgs Norra Kyrkogården, or Northern Cemetery, is officiated by Vicar Johan Ljungdahl, who has been serving the Trelleborg and Maglarps parishes since 1927. Pastor Herbert Kuhn from the German congregation in Malmö delivers a speech in which he thanks the fallen service members for their sacrifice. A few minutes before 11 a.m., accompanied by the solemn sound of tolling church bells, an honor guard from the Swedish Navy is marching into the crowded crematory chapel, positioning themselves 3 men on each side of the 7 coffins. A number of both civilian and military dignitaries, Swedish and German, can be seen at the interment service on the Saturday morning. Among the attendees is the commander of the Swedish Southern Military District, Major General Ernst of Klerker, landshövding or Governor Erik Sverne, and the head of the recently formed Malmö Defense District, Colonel Silén. The large German representation includes the Minister to Sweden, Prince Veit, Hitler's military attaché in Stockholm, Lieutenant General Bruno von Othman, accompanied by his wife Eva Maria, and the German consul in Malmö, Mark Nolda. Representing Italy is Mussolini's military attaché and the man behind the Italian translation of Hitler's Mein Kampf, Giuseppe Renzetti, a messenger between Hitler and Mussolini, posted to Stockholm in 1941. A little over a kilometer away from the Northern Cemetery and the funeral event of the day in Trelleborg is the office of Eruth's Rederi Aktiebolag shipping line. It's located at the address Strandgatan 32 and is operated by the industrious ship owner, the Estonian consul in Trelleborg, Sture Eruth, a veteran of the cargo shipping industry who, as early as in 1913, together with 4 other individuals, founded the Rederi Aktiebolag Östersjön shipping line, a company specializing in the transport of goods by steam-powered vessels in Swedish as well as foreign waters. This Saturday morning, while the funeral of the Germans is underway, a 44-year-old widow by the name of Ketty von Ham is waiting for a 23-year-old steamer, the SS Bengt Sture, to arrive at the ship's home port of Trelleborg. She's joining the crew today as the stewardess on the Bengt Sture, who is sailing with the crew of 15 under the command of Captain Sture Hedberg. The home port visit will be short this time. The ship is getting resupplied and will only be in Trelleborg as long as that process takes. After that, the ship will be heading south to the old Hanseatic port of Danzig in German-occupied Poland.
Kära syster. Klockan är nu 10:30 på förmiddagen och båten är inte kommen än. Vi ska bara gå in för att proviantera. Jag börjar bli hungrig men har inga ransoneringskuponger. Jag är lite ledsen, så jag råkade ut för en olycka på väg till centralstationen. För att undvika en kollision bromsade bilen in så häftigt att jag föll framstupa och fick ett blått öga samt vrickade handleden. Det gör så ont och jag kan inte ta med handen. Vad ska man göra? På rederiet säger de att jag får gå med i alla fall. Om kaptenen går med på det. Kocken får hjälpa mig. Det är högtid idag med fina tyskar och krigsskepp. Man ska begrava dem som gick bort med Deutschland. Vi ska gå till Danzig. Vet inte mer. Hjärtliga hälsningar, din syster Ketty. Vi ska gå till Danzig, 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 Danzig.